what would you be looking at that's non-negotiable? I've looked at Wolf Ridge, Allwoods, and eastonmades. Well, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. It's kind of bittersweet. Almost feels like a chapter's closing. But today I'm going to get one of my prized possessions cleaned up to get ready to sell it. And I'll explain why here in just a little bit. All right, here it is. This is my 2010 Ultra Classic Limited 103 6-speed. It's got extended bags, 21-inch fat spoke front wheel. It's got the Dirty Ride fast up air system on it, several other upgrades. But today we're going to get this bike cleaned up and get it put online to sell. And this one here, this is my 91 Fat Boy. It's got the old Evo engine in it. That one's going to stick around for a while anyways, hopefully longer. 18-inch ape hangers, solo seat. The Ultra Classic, I do have a lot of extra parts to it. I've got the factory bags. I've got the factory exhaust. That's a Python 2-in-1. Extremely loud exhaust. So I've had this bike for several years. Bought it here locally. Everything was stock whenever I got the bike. I put the 21-inch wheel on it, the 4-inch extended bags, the 2-in-1 exhaust, the extended side covers, the window, the LED headlights. Rear fender's different. Rear fender's off of a 2019 Street Glide. So last year I rode this bike, I think once, maybe twice. That was about it. For the most part, it's been sitting. It does stay hooked up to a trickle charger all the time, but I really feel right now would be a good time to get rid of this machine to be able to purchase some other things for around the property to use for the channel, but it is going to be hard to let this bike go. So my main purpose in selling this bike here is I want to buy a new wood splitter, and instead of having this thing sitting up here in the shop all the time collecting dust for the most part here lately, I think it's going to be best just to sell it, just so we are able to afford to get a new wood splitter. But we'll see. Things like this sometimes sell okay, sometimes they don't. These are more of a luxury type item than a necessity, and I get that, so I still may be sitting on it for a while. It's February right now. I figured now's a good time to put this thing out on the market with all the extras and all that stuff, because it is tax season and that's the time a lot of people spend money on things like this. So I want to get this thing out and get it cleaned up. I'm going to clean it up here in the shop. I'm going to go ahead and get it fired up, let it warm up for a few minutes, probably drive it around the mile section, just because it's been a while since I rode it. It is February, but it's not extremely cold today, but it is cool. Now, even though these bikes have sat here for a while, I do start them occasionally. The old Fat Boy, that Evo, if you let it sit for more than a few weeks at a time, the check valve up by the oil tank likes to seep through and it'll fill the crankcase up with oil. So once it starts, it's got a big breather tube on it and it'll sit there and pump oil out for a little bit, and I always have to top it off if I wait an extended period before I start it. This bike has never been issues with it starting. I did replace the battery in it last year. Even though I do have it hooked up to a trickle charger, that helps a ton, but the battery that was in it was getting pretty old. So let's give this thing a start, let it warm up, and take it for a spin. Okay, well, that was fun and cold. I'm gonna go ahead, get this thing cleaned up, get all the dust off of it, and we'll get some pictures of it. Okay, this thing cleaned up decent. It's not fully detailed, but it looks a whole lot better than it did. So hopefully this thing will sell for us fairly decent quickly. That is always kind of the pain about selling something like this. You can sit on it for a while. Hopefully this one sells pretty quick for us, so I can get a splitter ordered. I'm really gonna hate to see this thing go, but things change, priorities change in life, so just trying to adapt to that. This thing will find a better home, I'm sure. Then we'll have access to do a few more things that we wanna do around this place. But I have put a lot of miles on this bike. I've went all over the place in it. It's always been a good one. It's been my favorite so far. This was the 4th motorcycle I've owned. I've got 2 Harleys right now. Before I bought this one, I had a 03 Heritage, which was the 100-year anniversary. Had it, sold it, and bought this bike. And then before all the Harleys was a Suzuki Intruder. It was okay, but there ain't nothing like a Harley. So you guys know my plan, getting rid of this and ordering a wood splitter. If you guys had around a $10,000 budget for a new log splitter, what would you be looking at? I do want a log lift. That's non-negotiable. I'm gonna have a log lift on my next splitter, but what splitters would you all look at? I've looked at Wolf Ridge, Allwoods, and eastonmades. The only commercial grade log splitters that I've ever ran was the eastonmade Ultra and Joe's Splitfire. I'm not sure if the Splitfire is actually considered commercial or not. I think it is. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm sure somebody will tell me in the comments. To me, that was a commercial grade machine as well. But if you all had that kind of budget and was looking for a new splitter, what would you be looking at? Am I looking, is there another one out there that I should be looking at that I'm not? The Allwoods, I do like them, but I've never ran one in person. I've never seen one in person, so that's a little leery, but they do look like they're heavy built. Russ at Willie's Firewood cranks out a lot of wood on his old muscle wood, and his new one he's cranking out a bunch too. I don't know. I mean, what do you guys think? What should I be looking at? Again, I'm gonna really hate to see this bike go, but it's for the best. I really think with the log splitters that they have out now, pretty much all the commercial machines are fast enough where they almost warrant a conveyor. Obviously, I'm not gonna be able to buy a conveyor right now. Maybe I can find a hay elevator and convert it to a log lift at some point. I don't know. We'll split enough wood and sell to be able to buy a conveyor, but I think a conveyor would be handy to have as well. But leave a comment. Allwood, Eastonmade, Wolf Ridge. Is there any others that I'm missing that I haven't seen? So far, those are the 3 I'm kind of hung up on, but who knows? Who knows what the future's gonna hold? But go ahead and share your thoughts on the log splitters, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks.